One of the most interesting essays that I read this week was by Nicholas Whitaker. It asked the question, do we have the right to be alone? In a society that's increasingly moving towards individualism and away from collectivism, in which we are seeing how people are in fear of one another, this writer so thoughtfully argues that when we turn away from one another, when we turn away from the sights, the sounds, the smells, the experience of being in delicious community, as I understood one of my favorite TikTokers always says, when we turn away from being in delicious community with each other, everyone suffers. And what this essay underpins is that when you allow yourself to be open enough to get to know people who are different than you, who smell differently than you, who sound differently than you, who look differently than you, who celebrate joy differently than you, who celebrate pain differently than you, you stop seeing that person or that thing or that action as a threat, and you recognize that it is within the tapestry of our delicious humanity, of which we are all a collective, of which we are all each other's family. I particularly have been thinking about how this shows up in my own life. I notice that when I'm walking around my suburban neighborhood, I sometimes will try to walk routes where I know I won't run into anyone. This is something you'll probably know quite well. You go into the grocery store and you don't want to see anyone. You go into your route, you don't want to see anyone. That there is this culture that is being inflicted upon us through, the rise of big tech, the rise of a hyper individualism where we conceive of ourselves in these profiles on these social media sites, and we suddenly think of ourselves as individuals separate from a collective. We think, how many people are following me? How many people are listening to me? And we don't think about the collective that we live in and how can we serve our community? How can we give back? How can we support people who don't have as much as we do? And it's become very normal to be annoyed by the way people chew, to be annoyed when people are making sound in public, to be annoyed when people are doing this, to be annoyed when you're in an Uber and the driver tries to talk to you, to be annoyed about this, to be annoyed about that. But what this essay and what I am also arguing is that when we turn away from all that which makes us unique, all that which serves the collective, when we turn away from the things that are the unique characteristics of someone that might annoy us, we miss the chance to get to know them and to see them as a fully complex human being and get to know and love and celebrate them as they are. And people miss that in us as well when they turn away from us. So let me read you this last piece of the essay because I'm about to run out of time. But please go read this. Read it again, read it again, read it again. It's so important. He says, philosophers need to ask what the need to be alone is a need for, what social structures and practices it sustains, and what other possibilities of living together exist. The essence of an ethics of being alone must be an interrogation of and openness to reimagining. I'm out of time, but I hope you'll read the rest of this. We are meant to be in community with each other. We're meant to take care of one another. We're meant to love each other fully, embrace each other with open arms, and be in loving, delicious community with each other.